Hello, and thank you for joining us for Supreme Feminine Essence, The Gifts You Were Born With. I'm Mia Saenz, your host, and with me this segment is Sarah Centrella. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Mia. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's wonderful to have you on the summit. So we're going to talk today about manifesting from vision boards. And you have an incredible story that brought you to doing this as part of your coaching and work with people. So take it away.
Yes, it's my favorite topic. So about, almost 5 years ago now, when my husband at the time left me and our 3 little children, I had twins that were a year old, and my son was 5 years old, I had nothing, absolutely nothing, not a penny to my name, no job, no nothing. But I did have a vision board. I had one that I had created a couple years before that when I went through this moment of I wish my life was different. And I pulled it out, and when I did finally get a job, I took it to work with me, and it sat at my desk, and I looked at it all day, every day. And honest to God, it sounds crazy, but before I knew it, I was really living in some of the moments that I had on my vision board. A great example is I had a picture of New York City in the center of my board, and my first work business trip was to New York City, and then it came so fast and so quick after that. So definitely vision boards is kind of the center of my world right now. It's changed my life.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you've manifested 2 full vision boards in 4 years.
Yes.
And you're working on your 3rd. Right.
I have like 2 new ones in my room right now.
Yeah.
They cover my wall. My kids have them in their room too.
That's awesome.
Yes, yeah. It really, that first board, the one that I had put up, long before I thought I could actually change my life with one, I really manifested almost everything on that board in about 18 months, which was really crazy. I'd gone from literally being unemployed and relying on state aid to take care of me to having the job of my dreams and having these crazy, amazing experiences that money couldn't even buy. I mean, they were really, I was looking for moments that would mean something to me and to my family and to my children, and literally they came to me. They showed up in my life. And once I kind of realized there was all that connection, then I really started learning a little bit more and honing it in, and last year manifested a whole nother vision board. So
that's awesome. It's
been a fun ride.
And share with us some of the things that were on your vision board so people will go, wow, very cool.
Sure. Well, I think the most amazing, there's a lot of them that have been just really like shaking your head going, this is not real. But the biggest one was the Baltimore Ravens, and this was the year before they won the Super Bowl. My son and I are big football fans, and he had seen the movie The Blind Side, and it was about a football player who actually played for the Baltimore Ravens at the time. And he walked out of that movie and said, Mama, I want to meet him. I want to go to a football game, and I want to meet him. And I was like, okay. And so then I got my little wheels turning. I said, well, I always tell you to dream big. That's kind of out of control. I don't know how I can ever make that happen, but okay. Mm-hmm. And probably 2 or 3 months later, things just started randomly, I say that in quotes because nothing's random, fall in line. I wound up meeting a coach. Coach had followed me on Twitter, was interested in my story, and got tickets, airfare, went back there. And I told him that my son was very, passionate about meeting Michael Orr. And he said, well, I don't know if I can arrange that. And the day of the game, we got field sideline passes. And we were walking out on the field before the game, and the coach walked across the field and got Michael Orr and brought him over to meet my son.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that one was one that was just, what else can you do but just stand there and, chills all day. And that whole experience didn't cost me anything. And so that was kind of when I realized you don't have to be rich to live this crazy, amazing life. You have to want experiences that make you feel alive and bring you joy, and they will find you. Mm-hmm. So that's really kind of how I teach vision boards, is it's based on the type of life you want to live and the experiences you want. And when you know that, it'll come to you.
That's awesome. And also hindsight, we kind of go, oh yeah, I manifested that. Like when you were telling me before when I interviewed you on my radio show, you manifested the exact same Louis Vuitton handbag, and you didn't even realize it. So you're like, wait a minute, that's on my board.
Exactly. I mean, that has happened so many times, and they're always, again, they feel random because they just come at you in ways that you're not thinking about, you're not expecting it. And that particular one, you know, a girlfriend of mine, her sister had just started a consignment business, and we were at breakfast, and she texted me this picture, and she's like, oh, I have this bag, it's half off, and da-da-da-da, like, do you know, are you interested? And I was like, that bag looks so familiar. I love that bag. Of course, I love that bag, you know? And so I thought, well, it's half off, okay, you know, if I make my commission goal, then I'll think about it. Well, I hit my commission goal, and I was able to get it, and I came home, and literally, it's the exact same bag that's on my vision board, and had been for 2 years.
That's wonderful.
So, I mean, there's so many like that. You know, my girlfriend gave me a pair of pink Louis Vuitton shoes for Christmas that I was like totally unexpecting and would never buy something like that. I had a pair of pink Louis Vuitton shoes on my vision board, and she's never seen my vision board.
Oh, that's great.
So, and she didn't believe any of this stuff. She was like, I don't really talk to her much about it, and she was kind of like, you're kind of crazy. And then I was like, okay, so here's a picture of my board.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of the shoes you just got me. Now it's crazy. So, I mean,
awesome.
There's no denying it, and I've been able to log everything from 2009 to now. You know, post pictures of my original vision boards when they were original. They're really, you know, I think that's the kind of amazing part of my journey, is that I've been able to put it out there like an experiment, and so people can see for themselves. It's like, okay, I'm watching you do this. It's real.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And you've manifested cars, Mercedes, and big bonus checks.
I have. The first Mercedes, same thing. You know, I wasn't making very much money. I didn't have a lot of money, but I needed a car. And, you know, a friend of mine worked at an auction, and he was like, you know, I can get this car for way less than I could have got a Honda. You know, it was like the only thing in my budget I could find. And it was a Mercedes, and I had a Mercedes on my wall, you know, and it was just like, okay,
Yeah.
I believe now. And then probably about 10 years ago, when I first started my career in sales, I had a goal to make a $10,000 commission check. And I said, if I ever do this, then I'm going to walk into Louis Vuitton and buy a bag. But I never thought I would really do it, so I thought, okay, well, I don't have to worry about wasting that money on a bag. And I think it was last January or February, after taxes, that's what I woke up that morning and was in my account, and I was like, oh crap. So you better believe I bought a wallet. I did not buy a bag, but I bought a wallet.
Yeah.
It's the first and only thing that I will buy there, but I was like, you know, I'd had that goal for 10 years. Yeah. I had to honor it to myself, and so, yeah, it was pretty amazing.
I did a similar thing when money had come my way from manifesting something, and I had wanted this purple Louis Vuitton handbag. And so I went and got it, and it was so funny because I took it home, I put my wallet in it and my keys and just a few things, because it was brand new and beautiful, and, you know, $1,000+
Right. Exactly.
I went to the doctor's the next morning, and I couldn't even take it into the bathroom. I'm like, can you please watch my purse? So I was like, that's when I realized, okay, that's not for me.
Maybe
so
it's not for me, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just like, okay, so I guess that's not for me.
Right,
but
right. Yeah.
I can go with, you know, $300-$400 bags, but anything,
exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
It was
one of those things that, of course, you know, I'm a single mom, so I'm always conscious of my budget and stuff, but I thought, you know, I definitely won't buy a bag. But if I didn't honor that promise I'd made to myself 10 years ago, that it's one of those things I really feel like we have to honor the promises we make to ourselves as much as the promises we make to other people, because at the end of the day, those are the things that do motivate us. And if we're constantly breaking them, then we're not going to put goals up thinking that we're going to achieve them, and they won't mean anything.
It's also part of the flow, the energy flow, you know? It was received for specifically something that we asked the universe for. So
right.
Buying your wallet was perfect, you know?
Yeah, because I feel like if you don't follow through with those things and the universe brings you the opportunity, that's kind of like a slap in the face. I always say, like, you know, opportunity will knock 3 times, and then it's like, guess what? If you're not paying attention, I got better things to do.
Right, exactly. That's
so,
awesome.
you know, you kind of have to be like, okay, well, thank you. Like,
Yeah.
this seems crazy to me, but thank you. I put it out there, you gave it to me, thank you.
That's great. Now, on your website that's gone viral, or your blog, Thought.Stories.Life.
Life.
Okay, good. And everything will be on in the credits. But so I saw on there that you have 4 steps to making a vision board.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go over that briefly with the viewers?
Sure. Again, I really focus on the moment that you want to live. And I really don't make it about material things. I mean, all of those things that we've been talking about are obviously flashy and the reason why people are drawn to vision boards. But for me, not one of those things was about an object or a material thing. It was about, when I first made my board, I wanted to be the type of woman who is successful enough in my real life that I would be able to do these types of things. So when I put it together, that's what I created it around. You know, I created it around the idea of a holistic life I wanted to build. So that's really step 1, is to create your life plan. Like, sit down as if you were with a contractor and a builder and draw out what you want your life to be. And I think most of us don't do that. I think most of us float through life, or we did it in high school when we planned on being whatever, you know, when we went to college, but we haven't ever done it as adults again.
Right.
And so that's a very critical step, is to look at and see, okay, in 5 years from now, in a perfect world, my relationship is X, my personal well-being is X, my body is X, you know, my career is X, and you break it out in these categories, and you say, this is the woman I want to be. And that type of woman surrounds herself with what type of people. She dresses in what way, she drives what car, you know. So it's not about throwing a collage on a wall and saying, give me a Maserati.
Right. Or that's just pretty.
Right. It really isn't. It needs to have the intention behind it, coming from a very pure place, and I think that's the difference too. You know, if I put a picture of the Ravens home game, it wasn't like, oh, I'm so cool, I get to go to a football game. It was like, I get to share that moment with my son. He's 8 years old, and he's going to go out there with eyes this big, and he's never going to forget a moment like that. I want to be there when he walks through that tunnel and feels that, you know? So if you start with each thing on your board with that intention and that desire to create that type of life, that's what I feel brings it so quickly. You know, I mean, 4 years, the things I manifested are crazy. So I think it really is kind of the secret sauce to speed it up. So that's one. Another one was making a bucket list. I feel like that's always kind of ground zero because a lot of people don't know how to dream anymore.
Right.
We don't know how to dream big. All we know how to do is look at our life and say, okay, well, this could maybe be realistic. If I did X, Y, Z, maybe this could happen. And a bucket list removes all of those parameters. It says, before I die, I want to do X, Y, Z, you know? And who's to tell you that, no, that's stupid, you can't do that before you die.
Right.
You know? So it by its nature removes those walls and lets you kind of dream big. And then another one is create the movie in your head, which is when you're kind of building out that 5-year plan, make it as detailed as you possibly can. Literally, like, make it as if you're watching it on a big screen and feel it and walk into your home that you want to have. And, you know, visualization is such a huge part of anyone's success, I feel like. And then the last one I think is manifest that, is what I call it. And that really comes when you have gratitude for what you currently have, and you're living in a space of gratitude and happiness. And it's also when the hustle or the work meets opportunity. To me, that's what defines manifesting. It's never going to come as just thrown at you. It's always going to come because you are aware and you saw the opportunity. You know, like the handbag.
Right.
I see the picture on her phone and I'm like, I don't know why this is triggering, but it's triggering right now. And I see that opportunity and I jump on it. But I think a lot of people wait for it to knock on their door and be like, here's the keys to a Mercedes. You know, that isn't how it works. It requires your preparation in advance and your awareness when opportunity comes, and then you have to act. So
that's wonderful. Love that. And we can do that about, as you said, our body, our family, our job, not just physical possessions that we wear, we eat, whatever, you know.
Absolutely. Yes. To me, the key is very much making it holistic, making it about your entire life. You want to think of it as climbing stairs. You want to move your whole life up the next stair. You don't want to just, you know, move your career of one piece of it. You need to move your whole family with you. You need to move your life to the next level. So when you look at it like that, you understand it's a lifelong journey, and you don't get frustrated when things don't happen overnight because you're in it. You know,
what's really cool and interesting also about manifesting, and I think you and I spoke about this before, is that we don't. There's no timetable unless it's something urgent, like I need money for my rent, you know, and so then you work towards manifesting that. But the bucket list and stuff, that comes all along, or your dreams, in its right timing, when it's right all the way around. I had on my list years ago that I wanted to live in Mexico at least for a year. I also wanted to be an avocado farmer. So, because, you know, it's a little extra thing. Because I'm fascinated with avocados. I eat one every day. They're amazing.
I love them, yes.
Yeah. So, it was really crazy because I think it was 2002. So 12 years ago, we moved to Mexico because my husband was on a movie that was being filmed there. So it's like, wow, and we were there for a year. So it was like, isn't that amazing? Yeah, when his movie finished after 9 months, my children and I stayed, and then we'd travel back and forth. And we thought that we were going to live in both places, United States and Mexico. And then one of my sons got sick, and we had to return. But it was the most amazing experience, and I thought it would happen when I retired, but, you know, in the far future. But when I realized that that was part of what I had put out to the universe, I was like, right on. This is so cool.
And it probably wasn't an instant, you know, when he came home and was like, oh, I might have to do it. It probably wasn't instantly like, oh, that's connected. I put this out X amount of years. You know, a lot of times I find out it's later. You get
the
caught
hindsight.
In the hustle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you get caught in the hustle of life, like, oh, I have to, you know, do this, that, and the other thing to get ready. Yeah. And then one day you're sitting on a beach and you're like, wait, this seems familiar to me. Like,
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or like as a little girl, I always loved when the high school boys would be driving their Camaros, you know? And I always thought, oh, I love that, but I can't have one because I'm not a boy. You know? And then another goal I had was to buy my own car. You know, without any husbands helping me or whatever, you know.
Right. Yep.
And so I did that this year. And guess what I got? I got the Camaro. Awesome. So it was like, you know, it's like, and I was like, wow, that's, you know, not just a boy car. That's my car. And people see it and it's this red rock metallic, so it turns colors. It's an orangey red and then a deep red. It turns colors. And so a lot of times people go, oh my gosh, that's the Passion Muse car. That's perfect for you. Yeah. It's like, okay, you're right. It's totally perfect. So it's beautiful.
That's when you know. That's when you know it's right. Is like these little things connect and all of it gives you peace. Like it's not a struggle. You know, and I think that's the big difference. There's a lot of people who teach, you know, law of attraction or whatever else, and there's always so much kind of angst that goes with it. It's very hard not to have that angst because you want to make it happen. And we can't. The only thing we can do is do the hustle to prepare us.
Right. And then surrender. And then surrender.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And you just have to say, and I think what helps me so much is realizing this is a lifelong journey. It's just like if you chose health and fitness. You know, you're going to go to any trainer under the sun and they're going to say, I will work my butt off with you to get you where you need to be, but if you don't stick to this plan for the rest of your life, you're not going to stay there, you know? And it's the exact same thing. It's like, once you let go of the stress of, oh, I need it tomorrow, and say, this is my life. Come, you know, I'm going to experience every one of these things at some point. I don't know when. That's not up to me. And like you, it can come way before you thought it was going to come.
Right, right.
You know, it's out of our control that way. but it also brings me so much stress relief, and because I know it's there, so I can back off the stress of it.
Ever since I was a little girl, I was raised in a metaphysical upbringing, and so and that was a good part, thank God. There was a lot of bad in my childhood, but that was a good part. But it was crazy because, and I say crazy because when I think about it now, it's funny. I was dating this guy about 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and he said, it's so funny. he goes, do you know, do you know the law of attraction? And I said, oh, yes, honey.
Yeah.
I know that.
Right.
And then he said, he goes, no, it's called The Secret. I go, there's no secret here. And I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. And he's like, no, Google it. So I watched the 20-minute, thing that they had at the time on YouTube. And I was like, I've been doing this my whole life.
Right. Most successful people have done a version of that their whole life. Yeah.
And it's like I was
But
taught
they did the work. They did the work.
And I was taught, which is one thing that I wanted to say, that we were talking about the universe. I was taught that everything is our birthright. Because we're whether you say universe, source, God, creator, whatever, it all comes from the divine. And so everything is rightfully ours because we are the reflection of the universe, the divine, the creator, source. And so when you realize that, it takes the pressure off. It makes you realize it's already mine. What's rightfully mine is mine. And it takes away the almost like the fighting aspect with yourself.
Absolutely. Because I think most of us do go, I know for me 100%, I went through 34 years of my life of struggling to always feel like I was trying to just stay afloat and, always behind, always struggling. I felt like I was constantly sinking, in quicksand. And I think a lot of us do feel that way. And you carry all the stress of like, how can I fix all of this? It's so big, And there was something just peaceful about kind of having the light click with all of this and realizing like, as long as I do my part every single day, I silence the negativity, tell it to go find someone else to harass,
or just disappear.
Right. I'm like, you know what? Come back another day when I have a bottle of wine. Right now I'm good. But you gotta do your part. If you're looking for a job, you go out every single freaking day and apply for a job. Like, it's not hard. It's common sense. But a lot of people are like, well, I applied for one job and I really wanted it. And I asked the secret for it and I didn't get it. And I was like, okay, do you want to know how to change that? Because that's not how it works. You gotta apply for 100 jobs and the right one's going to find you, and that's the difference is that, it takes off the pressure of like, if I don't get that one, my life's going to fall apart. Right. So no, I have 100 to go. I'm cool. The right one's going to find me.
That's also a statistical sales thing, too, and it takes the pressure off as well, at least regarding work. But also, if you understand that the right position is there for you and you get the stress out, but you do continue, like you said, to do the hustle, to do the actual work, then the beauty just falls into your lap. I have a girlfriend that can manifest these, she's also a healer, but she manifests these amazing positions because she does one part-time and the other full-time. And if she's without a job, she's like, I'm going to go out and get a job. And bingo! It's like, that is awesome. I mean, if everybody could have that genius of whatever's most important to them in their life, whether manifesting your groceries or your car or all of it, and understand that to take out the fear.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. And then once you start to manifest, that's when you get rolling like a roller coaster. And it's like,
and it snowballs,
exactly.
Down. And people from the outside say, you're so lucky. I hate you.
It's
so annoying.
Say that too. And
and I thought my whole life that I was crazy unlucky, and I really was. I was crazy unlucky. Like, really nothing good ever happened to me. But I have a brother, my younger brother, who is just like one of those people that you always thought is like touched by an angel. Like, can't do anything wrong. Every door opens for him, whatever. But then you look behind the scenes, and that kid does more work than anyone I know. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't have a social life. It's because his ethic, his work ethic is, I will get it regardless of anything. Like, I'm not stopping if a door doesn't open.
Right.
I'm going to be pleasant and positive and put the work in, and then people see that and they want to help you. The doors do open, you know, and once I change that mentality, now I get that. People tell me that, you know, like,
right.
I'm like, no, it doesn't have anything to do with luck.
Exactly. And spiritual people, it's funny because you have friends and you're like, how did I get so lucky? And then you want to say to them, remember, it's not luck. And they're like, oh, I know. You know what I mean? You're absolutely right. It's not luck. Okay, so there's so much to talk about, but you have a free gift for people.
I do. I have a book where my story is the last chapter of the book. It's a compilation book, kind of like Chicken Soup for the Soul-ish, and it's called Adventures in Manifesting, and I have a signed copy that myself and my 3 kids signed. It was a family deal. And I would love to give that to one of your listeners and send that out to them.
That's wonderful. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fabulous. Thank you. Okay, so what ideas would you like to share with us also towards manifesting before we end? There's we went over to create your life plan, to create it like a movie, which would be the dreaming part, the envisioning, to feel it in order to believe it, to create it. We talked about the
hustle.
Yeah, the hustle.
Yes.
And we also talked about manifest that.
Yeah.
So what else would you like to share with us? You're also doing some other stuff. You manifested some great stuff this year. You manifested a host role on a show.
Yes, yeah. So a couple different things. I was a guest on Steve Harvey a couple months ago, Steve Harvey show, which led to a private meeting with Oprah and Harpo producers while I was in Chicago, which was pretty awesome. And I also have upcoming a show called Reversed, where I'll be the life coach, cast as the life coach for that. And just this last week, I transitioned out of my corporate real job into life coaching and speaking full-time, and I'm writing my book, Hustle.Believe.Receive, and that has all of these tips that we're talking about in it. There's 10 steps in total to changing your life and manifesting your dream. And there'll be 100 real-life stories of people from anywhere from an NFL player to the guys behind the movie $1 Million Arm, to single moms like me, to, you know, there's... Right. I want the gamut. We have judges in there, we have CEOs, and we have personal trainers. There's all these people who've used these same tools to live their dream and manifest their dream. And my hope is that it is inspiring to a very broad audience. So that should come out this fall, and I'm actively seeking amazing stories. So if your listeners have an amazing story of how they've kind of risked everything to follow their dream and found success and happiness, awesome. I want to hear it.
Yeah, and congratulations on leaving your corporate job, because I think it's hard. I do my work full time, and so I think that it's hard for people to do both. So I'm so thrilled when people take that brave step and just know that they're able to do what they love passionately.
Yes, and it is a big step. I have so much more respect for all those people who've done it before me now that I'm doing it. But, you know, there is no reward without facing fear. So
right. That's wonderful. Okay, now that almost sounds like a closing statement.
Right.
Before we sign off, send us home with one of your what's touching your heart to share with us right now.
Well, the biggest thing that I would say to people is, honest to God, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, it does not matter who you are, where you are, what your circumstances are. If you think, even a small, tiny little bit of you thinks that there's a different and better life out there for you, me and the 100 other people in my book are going to tell you, yep, there is. And the awesome, awesome thing is, it's very easy to change your life. The tools that I teach are very simple. They're stuff you can do today, you know. There's no money involved. It just, the only thing I can't teach you is desire. So if you come to the table with the desire to change your life and make it better and be a different person, I got the tools. It can happen. 100% you can change your life.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
It was a pleasure having you. And we'll see you all in the next segment. Bye.